welcome to TCM Live. I'm Larry.
And I'm Seth.
That's Seth.
That's me.
Yeah, and we are so glad to be here with you. We've got a wonderful webisode planned for you. Seth, do you realize what we're talking about today?
I have no clue.
It says right here, it says we're talking about...
it says it right there.
Yeah,
That's
living
right.
the new life. You know, here's what I was thinking about when I was thinking about that. You know, I've been on this kick, and I know we were talking about this before the show. We were talking about various series, shows on television that have started coming to an end and things that we've watched and all of that. Well, I'll tell you, that fits along perfectly with this. I love the way that God works, because you always think about, you know, when you hear the words living a new life, you know, most people picture a complete turnaround, a complete change, you know, going into something brand new. Maybe it's moving, this or that. And so what we want to do with this concept is we want to take that living a new life, and we're going to be in Colossians. That's a pretty cool book.
I like Colossians.
Yeah, I really like Colossians. I always forget to like when I'm spelling it, always get the O and the first S mixed up and all that stuff. It's really really irritating.
There's two S's in that, isn't
it?
there?
Colossians. Yeah.
Right.
But actually, there's three S's if you count the one on the end.
Oh, you got me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about living a new life. And, you know, from a Christian point of view, you look at that and you think to yourself, okay, living a new life. Yeah, get what you're saying. You're talking about accepting Christ as Savior and then just kind of moving on, and He supposedly transforms you and all that stuff. But, you know, there's a lot more to it than that. Because, first of all, people think that, you know, living a new life, like you accept Christ. A lot of people think, mistakenly so, that, like, you accept Christ and your life is supposed to immediately change. Like, everything in your life is supposed to immediately change. You're never going to have any trials. You're never going to have any tribulations. You'll never struggle with sin again. And I think that's one thing that the church does wrong, as far as I don't think a lot of times we don't properly instruct people of that. Because, I mean, we've got people in schools right now. We got a lot of these guys and girls out here that are in schools right now, and they're facing so many different things. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, they get saved, Seth, and they go back to school, and, you know, maybe they're pumped up from going to camp or this, that. Maybe they just walked in a church. They had never really been in one before, and they hear what the guy's saying. It's like, man, that sounds good. I want some of that, you know. And then they go back to school, or they go back to their lives, and they hear about this new life. But everywhere they turn, it's the same old life.
Yeah, we live in a culture that makes it really difficult to live for Jesus, just flat out. You know, but the thing is that Jesus instructed us that if we love Him, we'll obey His commandments. And the Bible teaches that if we come to Jesus, that there is going to be a new life in us. That you know, it says that, I think it's Paul that says that the old has passed away, and behold, the new has come. And so we should expect that things change after we come to Jesus.
Yeah.
Right?
And, you know, like we were talking about the series, you know, watching different shows and things like that. One of them, like, is real popular now. I think one of the most popular shows on television is, like, The Walking Dead, you know, about the whole after the zombie apocalypse thing and all that. And if you really look at something like that, the reason a lot of those shows are so popular is the simple fact, like Lost. I was a big Lost fan. I loved that. You take people and you either by their choice or forcefully, you place them in a situation where they have a new life. And I think a lot of people like that, especially when it gets into backstories. Because, I mean, guys, think about it out there. The things you've done in your past. Maybe you have problems at school right now. Maybe you have a problem at school because people know about your past and they won't let you forget it. And so maybe you're even trying a new start. I'm not necessarily talking about just becoming a Christian. Maybe you're trying a new start. Maybe you're trying to walk in the right direction. And people just won't let you forget your past. And I think, Seth, that's one reason why we're so attracted to media, so attracted to entertainment, so attracted to television, movies like that, because they give us what all of us at one point in our life, what we desire, which is a fresh new start where maybe nobody knows us or everybody's forgiven us and we're able to move on.
Who hasn't wished for a do-over?
Yeah,
I can't tell you.
Mulligan.
A mulligan. Yeah, that's a golf term for you guys that don't know anything about golf. So you win.
Yeah, I don't play golf, but you know, I used to play Tiger Woods on the
the
PlayStation.
I do frisbee golf.
Oh, do you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they have mulligans in that?
I'm sorry, disc golf, because a lot of people get offended by that.
Do they?
Yeah, if you say frisbee golf. Anyway, but new life.
You know, one thing it talks about in Colossians, I'm going to read just a little bit of this. It says, let's start out in Colossians 3:5. It says this: so put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you. Have nothing to do with sexual immorality, impurity, lust, and evil desires. Don't be greedy, for a greedy person is an idolater, worshiping the things of this world. Because of these sins, the anger of God is coming. You used to do these things when your life was still a part of this world. But now is the time to get rid of anger, rage, malicious behavior, slander, and dirty language. Don't lie to each other, for you have stripped off your old sinful nature and all its wicked deeds. Put on your new nature and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become like Him. In this new life, it doesn't matter if you're a Jew or Gentile, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbaric, uncivilized, slave or free. Christ is all that matters, and He lives in all of us. I know that's a lot of scripture, but you got to admit, man, that really fills you with a sense of hope, because what Paul is saying here, he's saying, look, take all of this stuff in your life and get rid of it. Just get rid of it. Just cast it from you, because you don't have to follow that path. You can follow the path that God has for your life. And that is so counterculture to what our world seeks, to what the world around us wants us to follow, because we're being raised by MTV. We're being raised by the movies. And man, I'll tell you what, it's so crazy. I was reading something the other day, and I think I posted on Facebook, but it was talking about that drug Molly that's starting to get really popular now. And it said one of the reasons is because people like Miley Cyrus and name 2 or 3 other people that were making, Madonna, were making references to it in their songs and this and that. And, you know, people look up to, especially Miley Cyrus right now. There's a lot of girls in the world, a lot of guys too, but a lot of girls in the world that are looking up to her and saying, oh, she's expressing herself. Oh, we love that. So that's cool that she's leading towards death. And you can paint it however you want, but that's what she's doing, guys, girls. That is exactly what she's doing. She's not doing the drug herself. At least I hope she's not. She might be. But most people like that, they're not necessarily doing the drugs. They're pointing you towards them. They're putting the drugs in their songs because they're popular. Now, that's not to say they don't do any drugs, because we know how Hollywood is. Yeah. But they're pointing you towards death and destruction. Whereas you've got people that are like that are all, man, they're hailed as kings and queens of this world. Man, they are so popular. There's so much stuff that they have to offer because they teach you how to twerk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Lady Gaga said people should quit putting T in front of work.
And by the way, you did hear that Larry is talking about twerking.
Yes, so, I was talking about twerping is more like it.
Yeah.
And then you've got people that are actually trying, and they're called nerds, they're called stuck up, they're called do-gooders. You don't think they know anything because they won't have a drink in their hand. And we shun those people. But they're the ones trying to tell us to get a good education. They're the ones trying to tell us to, man, you know what, don't have sex with everybody you date. They're the ones telling us don't lie to your parents, don't run away from home, don't get tied up with drugs. All the things that are beneficial for you. Just like what Paul is saying here, he's like, get rid of all that stuff. Get rid of it because it's killing you. Mm-hmm. And MTV, organizations like that, they're telling you to be different. Be different, be yourself. But in doing that, they're actually telling you to be like everyone else, right? Who do you dress like? What bands do you emulate? Do you try to be like them? Do you try to live that lifestyle? Because a lot of them do not live the lifestyle that they claim they lead, because they actually can't, if you want to get right down to it, because they're so popular. They have to stay surrounded by bodyguards all the time. Yeah. But they're trying to point you towards death. One of the illustrations that I found here, I want to read. This is our illustration for our talk today. And this was written by Mark Yaconelli, and it was in the book, The Wittenberg Door. He said, I live in a small rural community. There's lots of cattle ranches around here, and every once in a while, a cow wanders off and gets lost. Ask a rancher how a cow gets lost, and chances are he will reply, well, the cow starts nibbling on a little tuft of grass, and when he finishes, he looks ahead to the next tuft of grass and starts nibbling and sees another tuft of grass on the other side of the fence. So he nibbles on that one, and then he goes on to the next tuft. The next thing you know, the cow has nibbled itself into being lost. And I think that's one of our biggest problems, Seth, in America today, is we're in the process of nibbling on the next fad, the next thing that's popular, the next thing that's cool. And we're getting further and further away from the purpose that God has for each of our lives. And that is so, so sad.
Yeah, I think that really speaks truth to our culture. We Well, I'll put it to you like this. Okay, I'm not going to say exactly how long it's been since I've been out of high school. I know you won't, because it's been at least 1985. And I'm just kidding. But it's been a little while since I've been out of high school. And I just know that when I was in high school, yeah, there were some dangerous trends and, and things were rough. But it seems like things are changing at a much more rapid pace than it ever was. And I look around and I see what especially our youth culture is engaging in today, and what they're calling normal. And what I see in what they're doing is I see them chasing after something to fill holes in their hearts.
Yeah.
They want new lives. I've got students in my youth group that desperately are looking for something different in their lives. They go home, they have terrible home situations, or they encounter a lot of drama, or there's all kinds of stuff going on, and so they're constantly looking for second chances and do-overs, and they're constantly looking for a new way to live.
Yeah.
But the things that they're chasing after are things that will constantly lead them back to square one. It's kind of like they're, I don't know if you've ever played any of those old school video games, like the platformers where maybe you'll get stuck in a room and you run out of this side of the screen and then you appear on the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
And you can run and run and run and you never get anywhere. And I think that so much of our culture, that's exactly what they're doing. They're running and they never get anywhere. And they're trying on all of these different hats. They're trying to fit into all of these different groups. They're trying all these different fads. And the truth is that nothing fits. Yeah. And I think that the reason for that is because we were intended to have new lives, and we were intended to be reborn on different levels, but we weren't intended to live the kind of lives that we are living. And this culture, especially you guys that are watching, because I know that most of you that are watching are teens or you're young adults, and I just know that in that culture, in our culture, we're always chasing after the next big thing, and I really believe that what we're really looking for is Jesus. Whether you realize it or not, whether you know that or not, I think what you're really looking for is Jesus. I think what you're really looking for is the peace that comes with Him and the new life that you gain from Him. And I'm telling you, there's nothing more freeing to me than being able to know what standards are, and where the boundaries are, yeah, and finding a way to be able to stay in it. And, there's a very popular message that's being preached in a lot of churches these days that you can come to Jesus but you could just keep living your life and just do your thing, and if you just believe in Jesus and you just as long as you believe in Jesus and you're just a good person, then hey, you're good, you go to heaven, everything's fine. But the good news of the cross, the good news about Jesus is not that I get to go to heaven and keep my old life. The good news is that I get to have a new life. I get to have a second shot. I get to start over. That's good news. If nothing about me changes, that's not good news. Yeah. The good news is that things change. I have a new life. And I think that's what our culture is looking for.
Yeah, and because what many of us are doing today is we're basically kind of like what you were talking about before. We're playing dress up. Yeah. And nothing is wanting to fit because you're trying to be like your friends, you're trying to be like your idols, maybe you're trying to be like your parents, and you may have good parents, but the thing is, you're supposed to be who you are. You're supposed to rely upon your own faith. Everyone has faith in something. Agnostic, atheists, Christians, Buddhists, everyone has faith in something. Everyone worships something, at least one thing. And you picture a little kid. I know I did it when I was younger. I'm sure you guys did it when you were younger. I know Brian did a lot. He dressed up like Cinderella a lot of things. Anyway,
he probably didn't want anybody to know that.
I'm sorry. You can edit that later.
Yeah.
You play dress up as you're growing up, and you dress up in different costumes and this and that, and they don't fit. A lot of times it's your parents' clothes, so they don't fit. I picture a little boy in a big old top hat, maybe a coat that hangs down to the floor, and that's basically what we're doing in this culture, especially in the teen culture. We're playing dress up, and Jesus is standing there, and I'll let you guys, Jesus isn't the most popular name in the world, but then again, he said he never would be. He said, I'm never going to be popular. People are always going to hate me. They're not going to like me. They're going to spit on my name. It's just going to happen. Doesn't that make you curious as to why he said that? Have you ever stopped and thought about that? Oh, I heard Jesus preached all the time. But do you know who he is? Do you know anything about the dude? Because you might want to check it out. Because a lot of us, we're walking towards him in these clothes that don't fit us, and we're saying, oh no, this fits me. We're tripping over the coattails, and we're tripping out of the shoes. And Jesus is standing there saying, look, man, I got this outfit over here. It's for you. This is who I created you to be. I'm not trying to limit you and make you into a mindless robot. This is really who you're supposed to be, and you're going to be so happy. Not saying you'll never struggle again, but you're going to be so happy when you get here. When you walk towards me, when you allow me to give you this, you're going to be able to know exactly who you are inside. You're going to be able to know exactly what true peace is, what true love is. You don't have to keep listening to the world. That's why I sent people like Paul to say, look, get this junk out of your life. Get all of this rage and this malice and this anger. Get rid of it. Don't be greedy. Don't chase after money. Don't chase after things that are just going to go away. You're either going to spend it and it's gone, and you're going to have to get more, or you're going to try to get more material possessions, more land, whatever it is. And then you're just going to die, and it's all going to go to somebody else anyway. What I'm offering you is going to change your life. And I've got this outfit here, so quit playing dress up. Quit playing dress up and come to me. I want to give you that new life. I want to give you that new start. But you can only do it by recognizing that you're lost. And I know Christians, we throw that around a lot. Lost, lost, lost. Well, all right, let's take the salvation side out of it for just a second, the typical Christian term of being lost. Maybe you're just turned around in your life. Let's not talk about that side of it. Let's talk about being turned around in your life. Maybe you just don't know which way is up. Maybe you really are, just like the word sounds, like Hansel and Gretel out in the woods. You're lost, right? And you dropped the breadcrumbs, but all the birds came and ate them up. But it's important for us to realize that God has this plan for our lives if we will only follow it. You want a new life? Do you really? You gripe at all your friends. You gripe at other people saying, I want a new life. I want something different. Things have got to change. What are you doing to make them change? I'm telling you, man. I wasn't raised in church. I know Jesus is the only way.
Yeah, I tell you, man, you're getting right down to it. And that's what it comes down to is do you want things in your life to change? Do you want things to be different? You know, just like Larry, I came to Jesus at kind of a later age. I wasn't raised in church. I wasn't really raised knowing the things of God. And so when I came to Christ at a time in my life where things were probably at their worst, at the worst time in my life. And what I discovered about Jesus is that, you know, he didn't necessarily change all of the circumstances in my life. You know, there were still difficulties, there were still things that happened that let me just say just weren't fun. But what he changed was me. And that changed everything. And that's the thing you need to understand is what we're talking about tonight when we're talking about the changed life. When Paul is here in Colossians and writing about the changed life, the new life, he's not talking about changing your circumstances. And I know that a lot of times that's what we want God to do. He's not necessarily talking about changing your circumstances, which could happen, but what he's really talking about is changing you. Yeah. And even if your circumstances don't change, if you change, that changes everything. That's the peace that God offers. It's not that we'll never go through bad stuff. The peace that he offers is a new life. So that when we go through the hard things, when we face the difficulties and challenges, there'll be a new person inside of us to face those things. And not only that, but we don't face them alone, you know, which comes back around to what TCM is all about. You're not alone, you know.
Yeah, and it says in Colossians 3:16, it says, let the message about Christ and all its richness fill your lives. Teach and counsel each other with all the wisdom he gives. So we're in this together. So, you know, think about this. As we close out this webisode, think about you guys out there that are Christians, that are believers, that are pretty grounded in your faith. Think about what you do in your daily lives, how you're letting God renew you. And then when you think about that and you really think you're on a pretty good path to make that happen, think about the fact that there's other people around you that need your example, your genuine example. Don't try to be something you're not, because you'll go right back to playing dress up. Let God change you, like Seth said. Let God change you from the inside. Those of you that maybe have never experienced that, don't knock it till you try it. I mean, think about how many things, especially growing up as a kid, you eat stuff. You're like, I'm not even going to eat that. I don't even like it. My oldest one was like that. You know, I don't even want that. I don't like the way it looks. One day he tastes it and he's like, that's not so bad. But you know what's frustrating about him was this. he'd taste it and say, oh, that's not so bad. But then he'd say, well, do you want some more? And his pride would make him say, no, I'm fine. I don't want any. Mm-hmm. Are you doing that? Are you doing that with the best thing that could happen with your life? Are you doing that with your life when you're looking at Christ, when you're looking at this guy named Jesus? Are you saying, oh, that would be great for those Christian folk, but I'm not about that. That's not my style. You don't even know what your style is because you're still wearing costumes that don't fit you. So think about this, guys, girls out there. We love you guys. We welcome your comments, your concerns, your emails. We are here from you. And we just want you to remember, like we say most times, you are not alone. So join us next week. We're going to be starting a new series on fear.
Yes.
And you will definitely want to be here for that.
It's going to be awesome.
So have a good night, and we'll see you later.
Take care.